This is Edison Guzman with Adria Gross, and this afternoon we're going to talk about deductibles, and we're going to talk about copays, and we're going to talk about how it affects your claim. So good afternoon, Adria. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about deductibles, copays. I know you just had a case that had a lot to do with people not getting paid what they were supposed to. And tell us a little bit more about that.
All right, well, let me first get into a deductible and copay. Every policy out there has a deductible. And I hate to say this, but they're starting to get higher and higher and higher. And people are freaking out about it, okay? This really started, when you could, pre-existing was no longer an exclusion. That's when this whole thing really got to this point. I mean, before, the deductibles weren't that high, but now they're way up there. I mean, I hear, $12,000 for an in-network. I hear, believe it, $24,000 to $44,000 out of pocket for an out-of-network provider, okay? But this is a thing that people do not understand. You go to the doctor, you see an out-of-network provider, and you send your bill in, and that bill is $1,000. Well, now you get your explanation of benefits back. So either that $1,000, the reasonable customary charges or allowable fee amounts, was only $250 out of the $1,000 you paid out. So it comes back either that $250 went towards your deductible, or you might be getting 80% of that $250. You might be getting 100%. It depends upon the policy. It depends where you are that year on your policy. But the one thing that people have no clue about is when it comes to these allowed amounts, or the usual reasonable and customary charges, they always go by the Medicare rates. And usually they never pay over 160% of whatever that Medicare rate is. So here is a situation. You paid a doctor who is out of network $1,000. You send it into your insurance company. All they're looking at is $250. That $750, the difference between $250 and $1,000, is not even going to go towards your deductible for the year. So only $250, even though you wound up paying $1,000. People are unaware of this, so try and keep that in your mind as for what normally happens when it comes to allowed amounts, and you see an out-of-network and you pay a heck of a lot more.
That's very, very interesting. I mean, I certainly was not aware of that, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people out there who are not, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Now, the case that we were talking about that has to do with this, can you tell me, elaborate on that one, because that was very interesting to me, exactly how everything ended up happening for your client.
Right. So if you go into a 24-hour facility for psych, and people often come to me about this, and it's one thing to get the pre-authorization, it's another thing how you get paid. So here was a woman who lived in a really big city, very depressed, major depression, and she had other issues. She's found on the streets of this city, and she's taken into the hospital, and she sees a psychiatrist, and now they're sending her to this 24-hour facility. She's been accepted. And I kept on calling it for pre-authorization. So what we're talking about right now all has to do with pre-authorization. Whenever you're going to have a surgery or any major procedure, you need to call your insurance company and get it in writing whether or not they're going to accept you to have this procedure. So especially when it comes to a psych or even hospitalization, a lot of times they want the pre-authorization. So here the woman goes in. When it comes to psych, they might give you 10 days. So in this case, they started out at 10 days. Then we had to call back before her 10 days were up to get her more pre-authorization, because now she's going to be remaining there. She's got a major condition, tried to commit suicide. So we call again about like the 8th or 9th day, and they say, okay, we'll give her another 8 days. And we call back again before that 8 days are over. We have to keep on sending medical records to show what's really going on with her. So this is going on and on and on. Now we got up to 35 days, and she was in there for 37 days. So they wouldn't pay for that extra 2. So they covered her for 35 days out of 37. When I called the insurance company, they said, okay, she's out now. Can we get this paid? They called me back a couple weeks later and they said, you're not going to get any payment. I said, why not? They said, well, even though you paid out, remember this, $2,200 a day for her to be at this 24-hour facility, $2,200 a day for a 24-hour facility, even though they paid out $77,000. She had a deductible of $10,000, and what they consider to be the usual reasonable customary charges or allowed amount, they were nice enough. They said, well, since it was in this state, we're going to double it from 135 to 270. When you multiply 35 times 270, it comes out less than $10,000. So what did she get paid for her visit there? Zero. So you have to be aware of these things. You have to ask a lot of questions. Even if you were to say to them, how much are you going to pay per day? They're not going to tell you. If it was an in-network provider, you could look at your policy. They might have like a 40-60 where they're going to cover 60, you're covered for 40%. You're going to have to pay out of pocket. But these are really important things to look at before you enter a facility. And if a facility is in network, that's the best that there is.
Excellent. All of those excellent points to take with you, especially since you went from such a high number to like a zero number. That I mean, that's amazing to me. And I know that these are things that people can't do on their own, but I know some people try and try and try. So when people can't do it on their own, what's one good way they can contact you?
Best thing is to go to my website, www.medicalinsurancedvocacy.com. Again, that's www.medicalinsurancedvocacy.com, where you can always call me at 845-978-9493. Again, that's 845-978-9493. I'm here to help you. I can help you with pre-authorizations, claims that are denied, claims that were out of network, you were overcharged. I always tell you what I would be doing to help you, and then if you want to hire me, I'm here for you. Thank you so much, Edison.
Fantastic. Everyone out there, just have a great day and stay tuned for our next episode.